streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Shayon's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to speeding.
I don't know if I'm digging that quite as much, but I'm trying an 80s vibe. How you doing, everybody? It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. My name is Sean Shapiro. I am a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, and I am trying out a new background. I don't know how I feel about it yet. Yeah, we're gonna do some cool stuff. I think it's cool stuff. We're gonna do some dash cam court later. Come on, dash cam court. There we go. Dash cam court going neon all the way 80s. That's what I'm planning to do tonight. Daniel wants to know if they can use blue lights in front of their vehicle. And hello, Daniel. I see you there. We'll get you in just 1 second. I want to see what's going on. Make sure our connections are working. Instagram is not working. That is not fun. But we have the other platforms. They're working. If you're watching, like jenniferholmes.ca is watching, please hit like and follow me if you're not already following me. Tapping the screen so your fingers go numb really helps let the platform know that it's worthy of watching. And yeah, here to answer your traffic and police questions. Had a great day today. Went out and went to the Toronto Police College, met up with my friends with the MTO and all sorts of partners with the Toronto Police and so on. Talking traffic safety, talking about different ways we can impact the community in a positive way to make roads safer. It's awesome. And there was lunch. So it was awesome in every way. Good to see friends. Good to see people I haven't seen in a while. And talking about something we love to talk about, which is traffic. I know it's crazy. And it was funny. Yeah, Teens Learn to Drive was there. And Anne-Marie was saying, kids don't want to talk about traffic. And I find that, I don't find it to be accurate. I think everyone likes to talk about traffic because traffic impacts everyone. And it may not be the coolest topic to engage with, but it's stuff that really matters. So yeah, if you're watching and you got questions, jump in and let me know what's up. And if you're just chilling out, let me know what you're doing. I mean, obviously you're on the social media platform because you're here seeing what's up. But if you're chilling out, what you have for dinner? I mean, I barbecued burgers and then I took off and I went to the range. I went shooting for a little while. I had some fun doing some target practice, which I haven't done in far too long, but it was good to be out with a friend of mine for some rounds down range. Yes. Justin says, love the retirement beard. I'm liking the retirement beard too. It's one of those things that I couldn't do until retirement. Like, this is not an appropriate beard for a police officer, which is why it's a former police officer beard. And I'm still not sure where I'm happy with it, other than the fact that it's not part of my logo. I'm not sure if I want to, go full ZZ Top or if it's something that I'm going to say goodbye to at some point or another. But it's here for the time being, whether you like it or not. Milia is Zero Dark 73. What's going on? I hope you're doing well. I'm really not happy about this whole business on Instagram not working. We're still having problems. We can't stream there, and there's a lot of folks that are on there, and they're being left out right now. And I actually, my bad, I didn't post to the platform to say we're not there. So, yeah. Zero Dark 73 says, I got a court date tomorrow for an expired license. Any tips? Uh, First of all, thank you for the gift. I appreciate it. Uh, what kind of tips can I give you? I mean, your license expired and you were driving without a license. So I'm guessing you had a $350 ticket for drive no license. Or was it license plate that was expired? Let me know what you think, or what it was that you were specifically charged with. That helps. Peter, what's going on? Lisa, hey, how you doing? Fit Twin Daddy, hello. Just see it jumped into the group here. And let's get to Daniel's question, because Daniel was technically the first person to ask a question. And since they're coming in through X, I can actually put their question on screen. So, can I use blue lights in the front of my vehicle? No. The answer is no. You can have white, you can have amber, or AKA yellow, but you can't project blue light to the front. That would be against the law. The only people who can do that are snow plows, and even that is going to be under a situation of under contract. Like to have blue flashing lights in particular, you're talking probably just blue solid lights. Still no. Blue is specifically for emergency vehicles, and in the case of snow plows, if they're under contract from the municipality. But everybody else is a hard no. Daniel says he's watching the game and my channel. Well, that's a good combination. Is the Jays game good, bad, or just if you're watching me and the channel? I guess it's. Yeah. But let us know how the score goes. And Peter says, "Hey, Sean. Hey, back at you." Zero Dark 30 with a follow up to the question about their license. They have a court date tomorrow. For an expired license. I asked if it was simply expired license or license plate, and they said my driver's license was expired. Anything I can say to help get my ticket dropped? Well, here's the thing: if it was expired and you simply didn't know, and then you resolved it upon being made aware of it, you've corrected the issue, and that's what you would talk about. I mean, you can't really defend the fact that you had an expired license. It was in fact expired, but you weren't aware of it until the time that you were pulled over and it was brought to your attention. It's not like you were avoiding anything, I'm assuming. Like if you had $10,000 in fines and that's why you actively chose to drive on an expired license because you couldn't renew it because you couldn't pay the $10,000 fine, that's different. Then there's a whole story and you willfully decided to break the law. If it just expired, it went past your birthday, you weren't paying attention, you thought it was next year because they're good for 5 years. It's an honest mistake, and the Crown might choose to withdraw it if you prove that you've done the right thing. So I would just simply talk to the prosecutor before court and say, hey, listen, is there anything you can do for me here? I fixed it as soon as I became aware of it. This is not like me. Look at my record. And maybe they'll do something for you. But there's no real defense. You can't really say, I'm innocent, because you're not, right? But in terms of how to approach them, take responsibility. It's you're not contesting whether or not it happened. It did happen. You're asking for lenience because, yeah, that's the way to do it. Greg Marshall says, twice I've renewed my license on my birthday. That's the big hint, right? Your birthday. And every time it gets close to my birthday, I start getting nervous. And I can't tell you how many times I check my license. Like, is it this year? Is it next year? I never want to be without my license because it's so important to me. It's my freedom. It's everything that I rely on as a dad, as a business person, formerly as a police officer. If I couldn't drive, I couldn't work, I couldn't do. Daniel says the score is 6-4 for the Jays, bottom of the fifth. Thanks for the update, Daniel. Okay. And you're very welcome, Zero Dark 73. All right. While we get people into the room and as questions start coming in and discussions flow, opinions. What do you think of the neon background? What do you think of this less? What is the word I'm looking for? The vibe is different. We're doing 80s with neon and stuff, as opposed to the chill bar scene from the last time. I don't know. We'll try this one out. I am interested in doing the whole dash cam court. I'm looking forward to that. I got 3 videos to share with you. I think it is. So we will do that in just a moment. But I see that Greg is also watching the game. Excellent. Well, hopefully rely on Daniel and Greg to keep us up with the score because I'm not paying attention. I see that Boondocks Beard Company just jumped in. What's going on? Brendan, hello. Melody, welcome. Melody, the mechanic, is here watching, and that can only mean good things for the conversation because whenever there's something related to the magic of mechanical stuff, we'll have, fantastic information for Melody, the mechanic. She comes in with good stuff. She knows stuff. Low budget builds. How's it going? Let's see here. SJ Jude says, were you ever a provincial or federal corrections officer? I was not. I worked as a court officer, so I engaged with and went into the jails to pick up prisoners and bring them to court, but I never did anything else. Why'd I quit? It was family stuff. I left the job earlier than I ever anticipated doing it because my family needed me at home. That was simple as that. Big Jeff Fresh coming in on Twitch. It is Twitch. Good evening, sir. Good evening to you, Big Jeff Fresh. Good to see you, my friend. It's always nice that when we are on Twitch, and we tend to favor Instagram over Twitch, but when we're here, Big Jeff Fresh jumps on to say, hey, hope you're doing well, my friend. Got to hydrate before we educate. I haven't seen that particular TikToker in my feed in a very long time. Really, really good stuff. Haji says retirement beard is looking good. Thank you very much, Haji. Appreciate you, man. The beard is looking good, and actually, I received a box from a particular beard company, and I'm going to be doing an unboxing video because I have not opened it yet, but I will be doing when I do that. I will do that when I do that. I'll be sharing it with everybody. At least the video, not the stuff. The stuff I'm not sharing. It would be weird. Let's see here. Boondock Beard Company. Hey, it's a beard company. Says if I had my car wrapped in a different color, do I have to notify the MTO? And the answer is yes. If it's wrapped in a different color, then it's a substantial change and you would have to. It's a 50% point generally. So if you wrapped half of it, you would be multicolor. If you wrapped less than half of it, it probably wouldn't require changes. Like a pinstripe doesn't require it. A hood alone, maybe. But definitely if you're changing the color from top to bottom, that is a total change. And what's going to happen if you don't change it, aside from the fact that you can be charged for failing to update the ministry and apply for a new permit, is the fact that you're going to get pulled over every 10 seconds by police officers because they're going to see a red car, but it says it's blue, which means we're looking for a stolen vehicle or stolen plates. That's what tends to happen. Yeah, it's definitely the way to go. Is to update it. And if you change it back, you update it again. It doesn't cost you money to update it. Anyway, I'm assuming I get what you're putting down, but maybe it's not, and I'm going the wrong way. Okay, do I need a Z license to drive a tractor with a trailer that has air brakes going to a field? It has air brakes going to a field? Air brakes in general require a air brake endorsement, so I'm just going to assume any air brakes, even if it's just the trailers, I'm going to assume require the endorsement. That said, I don't know the ins and outs. I am not Z qualified, so I'm making an assumption in that answer. Tony, what's going on? Marcus, how are you? Marcus left. They were there, then they weren't. Let's see here. Let's jump into. Hey, I got an answer from Tony who says you don't need to if it's agriculture land, or if it's agriculture land, you don't. So if you're pulling the trailer into a field, the field is throwing me. So Tony, I'm going to defer to you and your experience. If you are towing it on agriculture land, then you don't, according to Tony. But I do not know. Okay, I want to jump in and I want to share a video with you and get your opinion. So this is an HOV lane experience. This is the rear view. And coming up. So first of all, are they guilty of anything? And secondly, what do you think of that move? Like they're going in the HOV lane. They are crossing the double lines that have signs clearly stating that is not legal. What do you think? Would you lay a charge if you were a copper on the road? What would you do? because I know what I would do. And I'm curious if we're on the same page. Let's see here. Brandon says, hello, Sean and all from Orlando, enjoying a beer after a nice steak. Hope you all had a fantastic day. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you. Where were you today? Were you Islands of Adventure? What park are you exploring? That is the question. Let's see here. We got Tony who says, as a former JP, I would know. Well, as a former JP, I trust that you do. And Tony, I appreciate you being here. This is great. Maybe as a former JP, we should have you on the show and you could talk about stuff. That would be awesome. I'd love that. Okay, I got to follow you. Let's see here. I'll follow you from my other channel and then I will. Can I follow you? Yeah, there we go. I'll follow you. And then we can connect at some point. I've actually talked about becoming a JP. I get the emails. Okay. Haji says, passing over the double lines, think it's a super fast lane. Greg says, can't cross the double line. Yes. And Tony says, yes, I would find them guilty. I think this is awesome. I am enjoying this panel. Haji, Greg, and Tony laying it down. I appreciate it. Jojo says, for sure. Amelia says, guilty. And then Greg says, probably speeding too. That vehicle took off, and that's my dash cam. I was in the HOV lane. I was in it. I was going to be getting off the next opportunity to get out of there, but they decided they needed to go somewhere faster. They were more important, and they passed me. And then they took off like a bullet. If we watched that video longer, it would have just gone sailing into the sunset. Tony says he'd love to come on. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, I'll follow you back. We can chat. That'd be awesome. I think it'd be really cool. Okay. What was this? Oh, one kid from Middles says warning. Warning. Warning what? What are we warning? Boom. What do we got? Amelia says nailed him for the failure to signal too. Well, you're a tough one, but you're accurate. Okay. Do we do another video or do we wait? Do we wait? I mean, I'm excited. There's more videos. Okay, let's see what else. Oh yes, and then there's the Tony, the former JP, also says, "How about them cutting me off? Because they did slide in pretty close for an unsafe lane change. I think. Now we'll watch it one more time. What do you think? Is it? This is coming up? They're going aside from the fact that they're violating that lane change there or crossing the lines. I wasn't impacted by the movement of their vehicle. It may have been too close for comfort, and there's the opportunity to for me to get out, which if they would have waited, I would have done. So they're just special, and most of the people going real fast are special. Just ask them. Okay. Ali says, what do you feel about people exercising their right to record in public, but cops don't like it? I'm not someone who has an issue with people recording in public because they're entitled to record in public. They can't interfere with police investigations. They can't endanger people or record for a sexual purpose because that's creepy and illegal. But if they're simply recording and they're lawfully permitted to be there, let them do it. Now, police record with body cams and dash cams, and that we love it because it exonerates police when those frivolous complaints come in. But why would anyone have an issue with someone recording unless they're being like they're harassing somebody? Like I was involved in arresting an older man who was up to no good at the comic book, not comic book. It was Fan Expo. A man in a kilt who was oddly enough preying on young ladies. Now that person who was filming in an event, but an accessible place where filming was permitted, was filming for no good, and that person got arrested and for good reason. Tony says, "Bingo, unsafe lane change." I like it. We're there. But no reckless charge, very difficult to prove. Oh, I think we're gonna have good conversations, Tony. I'm looking forward to this. Haji says, wait though, you move out into the passing lane. No, he needs to be the one to make that move. Oh, so let's go back. Let me make sure I'm getting the. Hang on, we'll put Haji's. My microphone's blocking my view of the keyboard for the combination of cut and paste. Haji says, wait though, you move out into the passing lane? No, he needs to be the one to make that move. So this is the problem with the location of the HOV lane, which is not the bullet lane. It is not the super fast lane. It is simply a lane for you to move past slow moving traffic that is slow moving due to volume. It's almost like that lane shouldn't be a lane, or it should be conditional. Like it should be, you can only go in there if you have a number. Wait, it is conditional. People do the dumbest things, and that lane is a problem, because you have to be from the fast lane to get into it, and the fast lane, although people will dispute this, the speed limit in the fast lane is the speed limit of all the lanes. It's 100 or 110 in some places. Anyway, uh, oh, Haji says it's for 2 or more or a hot pass, right? Yes, the hot pass is a pay to play pass there. And Tony says shouldn't be a lane, it's too confusing. There's so much that is confusing. My current joy, or fear, I can't decide which one it is today. It is the roundabouts. People do not know how to use these, and I am continuously playing chicken in them, because I'm like, I have the right of way, and we're gonna find it if you know that. because I can't stand when people just beeline into it and don't yield to those in it. So one day someone's going to hit me, and then my dash camera will be great evidence. But that's me being me. Okay. What do we got here? I want to come back to MX Fade One. I don't get your question. MX Fade says slipped my question. I don't know what your question is, though. It was about life savings, but I don't know what your question is. And yes, chicken. What did I say? Did I not say chicken? Okay. Adam79 says people get pissed, P-I-S-T, pissed, if you drive less than 20 over the limit on the HOV. That's a them problem, not a you problem. They can be pissed anywhere they are. Yeah, it's the deal is that the speed limit. I don't speed. I've sped as a police officer, or even acting in the capacity for the purposes of acquiring information to provide police. I have exceeded the posted speed limit for valid reasons. Generally speaking, I am not someone who speeds. I'm doing the speed limit. I lock it in with the cruise control. I annoy everyone because everyone thinks they deserve to speed. And as Tony so rightly says, even 1 kilometer and over is speeding. And I can, in your courtroom, I can imagine you would appreciate this. When people get up and say, but I wasn't doing 40, I was only doing 20 over. They've just admitted to speeding, which is the charge. The only difference is the calculation for the fine and the number of points that are triggered based on the conviction. So if you say you're only speeding that much over, you're still admitting to speeding, which I've always enjoyed. People go down the rabbit hole and not realize that they are, just feeding the prosecution's case. But anyway, I do enjoy court. I really miss court. Okay, what we got here? Oh, Big Jeff Fresh says he's doing well. He's been working on some personal life changes that I'm excited to do. Hope you've been doing well also. Thank you very much, Big Jeff Fresh. I have been. I mean, I'm really enjoying life. And I love that I can still come out and play here. Liz joins us and says hello and good evening. Hello. And by the way, Big Jeff Fresh jumps in and says, I would pull them over for disobeying the signs and perhaps additional for the solo and HOV if found solo. And the windshield looks extra dark. Oh, let's go look at the windshield. Hard to say. Although the tint in general does look dark. There's a ton of super dark tints. I don't recall when this was filmed how dark the tint was, but it's definitely no good. Oh, Tony says, I can't tell you how many of my decisions I told people this, the whole concept of admitting to speeding even 1 kilometer over. Yeah, I don't know if people would like me becoming a justice of the peace, but I've definitely toyed with it. A number of my friends have recently become JPs, and they tell me that the water is wonderful. Anyway, the water, because the clerk brings the water. If I get my G1, can a G2 drive? What is this? If I get my G1, can a G2 driver supervise me? Rohan wants to know. And the answer is absolutely not. because as a G1 driver, you must be supervised by a qualified G-class driver. And that G-class driver, to qualify, must have 4 years driving experience, and that driving experience begins when they get their G2. So if they had 2 years as a G2 and 2 years as a G, then they would be able to qualify. And don't even do the math yourself, because not all time driving qualifies. You actually have to get, like, anytime that you're suspended, you doesn't act towards their qualification time. So it's best to confirm with the ministry, or look for the 4 vertical dots in the bottom right hand corner of the driver's license. That would be an indicator that they have enough experience. Some people coming from other countries are credited their foreign experience, and they might get it earlier. Some people get really confused when they have the dots and they haven't had their license that long. That would be why. So hopefully that's clear as mud, Rohan. Let me know if you need any further clarification. And oh, Tony says tint charge. Come on, people, don't throw the book at him. Oh, really? Tony says my water was always warm at 2700, but icy at OCH. I was a supervisor at OCH. I wonder if we were there at the same time, Tony. I was a supervisor at court services at Old City Hall. Mind you, I was generally in the cells, and I used to go to traffic court at 2700 Eglinton. Both wonderful places to work. I really enjoyed both of them. Very cool. Okay, Tom says, what's the fastest you have caught someone speeding? I don't know. I've often been asked this. I still don't have an answer. I never really kept score. It's not about high scores. It's about stopping people from violating the law and putting people's lives at risk. And I know that OPP had a high flyer at 305. I don't think I've gotten people much more than 150. And I did get a long list of stunt drivers, but most of my stunt drivers were people doing 50 over in a 50 as opposed to 50 over in 100. But to me, yeah, not a thing. Let's see here. Hugh Jass says, what would be the fine? Which would be the fine for which charge are we referring to? Are we talking about driving solo unaccompanied? You got to be more specific than that for me, please. Tony says 2007 to 2021. So we must have crossed paths. I must have seen you somewhere. Okay. Haji says, I was today years old when I found out there were dots on my license and they meant something. Awesome. How many people pulled their license out and instantly started checking their license for those vertical dots? Yes. Awesome. And Greg says, I learned that here too. Awesome. 8 and 4 is the score. Thanks for the update, Greg. Appreciate it. Okay. What do we got? Liz says, late charges. I never use the HOV lanes unless I'm let me try it again. I never use HOV lanes as I'm usually driving alone. I hate when people use the HOV lanes as another lane to get through traffic like a game of Frogger. Oh, I have a video that you're going to appreciate, although this does not include the HOV lanes. It is a game of Frogger, real life Frogger. And sadly, I don't have all the footage because I was tracing it back at my next stop, and I think it recorded over and looped. But I guess we'll play that now. Here we go. Dash cam court. Is this the one? Let's find out. Okay. So this was another really close, like that was it made me jump kind of situation. Now, this is a Cadillac Escalade. So you know they're important. Now, why are they tapping the brakes like that? It's because they're riding someone's ass. That's why they're tapping the brakes like that. They're just wonderful drivers. Now, let's see when we get closer. Oh, come on. Let's get close. This is Friday. I should have chopped the in between, but they were just special. And I only got to catch this on camera twice, but it happened 3 or more times. So watch this. Tell me what you think. The impatience is wonderful. They're really, really important. You'll see it now. Come on, where is it? Oh, that's the license plate. Oh, then I switched to, okay. I really could have clipped that shorter, but this is the move. I love it. They're just asshats. Who does that? And that happened at 2 intersections, plus the cutoff, or maybe it was 3. In any case, they don't deserve to be on the road, in my opinion. What would you charge them with? What do you think? And would they be found guilty? Obviously, if I'm asking you if you would charge them, I assume you would also find them guilty. All right. Tom says, ouch, 305. That's insane. Deep Fried says, firecracker mufflers that seem to be ignored. Is it because cops have no clue how to prove it? You're talking about the fart can mufflers. No, unnecessary noise charges and improper muffler is not difficult to prove. It just happens to be lower on the priority list. We don't have enough cops on the road to police the city, to get to everybody, to process everything that needs to be done. And of the offenses that we're finding on a day-to-day basis, I say it like as though I'm still a cop. There's not enough cops to deal with it, and they have to prioritize their efforts. So they go after the big 4, the stuff that leads to serious injury and death. And the other stuff, unless it's truly obnoxious, and I personally think it is, and I didn't have anything else going on, I wouldn't have the time to focus on it. But I would lay those charges whenever I saw them, assuming I wasn't tied up or going to a collision. Like, think about this. You're assigned a call to a collision. Somebody is in distress. Even if it's a minor collision, it's important to that person. You're going to start pulling people over for fart can mufflers on the way. That's inappropriate. You got to take care of the people waiting at the side of the road, clogging traffic, to clear traffic and get it moving again. So hopefully that covers you off for that. Tom says at 305 and you hit a wall, you're probably instantly mush. I don't even want to think about what that would look like. I've seen people hitting walls. I've seen vehicles travel through, well, I beat the aftermath after the vehicle traveled through the air and, hit a house or whatnot. Not a good scene. But amazingly, modern vehicles do wonders at keeping it. And the one I'm thinking of where the driver and the vehicle left the roadway and hit, I think, between the first and second floor of the house, that person had actually, I think, died prior to departure. Like they had a medical emergency which caused their foot to hit the gas, and that's why they did what they did. Otherwise, it was, yeah. Either way, they didn't make it. What do we have here? Tony says lots of charges. Tony says we crossed. You had no beard then. My nickname was No Nonsense. Is it Nestico? Did I pronounce that correctly? But awesome. I'm glad that that's the case. So I'm really looking forward to chatting with you now. I was already, but now even more so. Okay. Tom says, I love watching people jump the double line in HOV lanes like it's a Zoom. Or it's the Zoom. Yeah, the number of people who will bounce in and out of there, it's just gross. The average person on the road is just doing the wrong thing, and it really bugs me. Like, it bugs me. Courtesy on the road is such a basic concept. Just be good to your neighbor. Why this me attitude, this belief that they deserve some special treatment or to get there first? The answer is, folks, leave early. That's the way to get anywhere without hurting yourself or anyone else. Chris in Pratis says, my girlfriend is 60. I'm 56. I hold a G license, but she has a G2. If her G2 ends in August, how long do you have to get your G license, and can you extend time? My understanding, Chris, is that if it was to expire, she would have to do her G2 test again to keep it. You don't just renew it. You have to get it again. Now, if you've booked your G2 exit test, they might give a temporary extension, but I would go right away and contact Drive Test and find out exactly what they can do for you, because I don't know. I know that if it's gone, once it expires, if you haven't made arrangements, you will have to do the G2 test again. Okay. Tom says the person who did 305 really needed to get to Pizza. And Panda Poe says reckless driving for the magic of the Escalade. By the way, I really do dig that Escalade, except the douchey way of driving it. I really love the truck. I don't want to buy it because it's ridiculously expensive. Speaking of which, I also had an opportunity to look at the electric new Escalade. It's ridiculous. I didn't drive it. I sat in it. Not for me. The gas one looks like a Batmobile. I think it looks so cool. Batman would drive the Escalade if it was Batman was Batman. What do we got here? Ooh, so Brandon's currently park hopping, starting at Hollywood Studios, then went to Contemporary for lunch, then Epcot. Oh, you really are hopping. You're multi-branding it. And he says, fun fact. Why did I go here? Fun fact. The Corvette Z06 gets better fuel mileage than the Mustang Dark Horse did on the drive down. No kidding. I can't fit in either one of them, so it's irrelevant to me. Let's see here. Declan says, would you rather hear a loud Civic or a V8? V8, hands down. Listen, a muscle car, a rumbly sound, the throaty roar of a finely tuned engine versus a four banger with a fart can. There's no competition. And you know, one is being obnoxious to be noticed because they're compensating, and one is just a car with a cool sound. And I've never had an issue with, well, that's not true. I was going to say I never had an issue with the V8. There are people who are running obnoxious or completely non-existent exhaust systems, like they're just pipes, they're straight pipes. Those have no place in anywhere but the track. And when I'm hearing you for a kilometer after you've passed, I would make it a mission to take you off the road. That would drive me crazy when they're just like 2 a.m. and people are waking people up in neighborhoods. There's No More Noise Toronto. I did a podcast episode with them before I left the Toronto Police, and I need to reach out to them to do an update. They are really fighting for Torontonians who live in and around areas where people are abusing. It's behavior more than anything else. It's, yes, they have modified vehicles, yes, they have loud vehicles. You get a 12-cylinder Lamborghini factory, it's going to make more noise than the average car, but it's the hammer down, lighting it up to go fast that's really causing the issue. And those people need to, well, they need to pay for it. They need to get a ticket and a consequence to dissuade them from really causing issues on the road. It's so much more than just making noise. And not everybody wants to be told no. No is a really hard word to swallow, apparently. You can't do it. Do you know when I started doing all this online stuff years ago, they called me the CEO of no, because nearly every question that was asked of me, the answer was no. No, you can't do this. No, you can't have that. No, there's rules. There's rules. Nobody likes no. Okay. RLED says reckless reduced to careless. Well, we don't have reckless here. We have careless. We have careless cause bodily harm. We have dangerous, which is criminal. So if you're reckless, I'm assuming you're in the States, or you've been watching TV in the States. Okay. Scrolling, rolling. What does Haji say? Oh gosh, Haji says, how many times since retiring have you been like, grr, I really want to play? Every day. Every day I see somebody I wish listen, if the chief would deputize me for the purposes of simply issuing POA offenses, I would do it every day for free. I just would. I'd be your friendly neighborhood, write you a ticket because you deserve one kind of guy. Excuse me. It's just, that would be a superpower for me. I would love that. But apparently they don't do that. Mind you, the OPP does have part-time police officers. You know what? I could do a part-time gig. OPP, if you would take me as a part-time guy, I would happily patrol the streets for you part-time. Mind you, that's still getting paid, which is okay. I don't mind doing that. I should really call the OPP. And actually, I saw Carrie Schmidt today, and of course didn't think to ask about that, because it wasn't until this very moment that I had that thought, that epiphany. Okay, Greg says, Greg says, following too close, unsafe lane change, dangerous driving. And of course, we're talking about this clip. We're talking about this Escalade, the Batmobile. I think the next Batman should have the Escalade. It's simply the lighting in the front. The back end's the back end, but the front is so cool. In my opinion, Google it, look it up, tell me what you think. I think it's the Batmobile. I think it's awesome. All right. Yeah, when you so we know he's riding up the rear end of the vehicle in front, and following too close for sure. even though I can't really see it. Can I substantiate that? The brake lights might work for me. I don't know. If the former JP would support following too close. I think for this vantage point looks very much that they're right on their butts. Let's see here. Unsafe lane change for sure. Yeah. Dangerous driving, criminal. You would go with that, Greg? Maybe. I mean, criminal threshold for dangerous. Were they putting lives at risk? They were being bozos for sure. I don't know. What say you? What say everybody else? Okay. Tom says reckless. Q Jazz says, what are the fines for not changing your winter tires to summers all seasons / all seasons? That is a good question that we can talk about, because there is no law in Ontario that I am aware of that requires you to change one way or the other. Now, the deal is that if your tire was to wear way too quickly, because winter tires in the summer just get chewed up very quickly. If it was not capable of being safe on the road, improper tires could be appropriate. But improper doesn't mean summers and winters, winters and summers. And as Greg says, it's not a law. It would have to be based on its inability to function safely. Now, I know that a winter tire in the summer will actually take you longer to stop, but that doesn't make it unsafe for use of any kind. People seem to think that, oh, I got sticky tires because, winter tires they're softer because they break on ice and snow, and they do things differently in lower temperatures, means I'm going to be like driving on racing slicks. Like I'm going to have the ability to stop on a it's not accurate. You actually take longer to stop. And that is an unfortunate situation, because it usually means the difference of hitting someone or not. And that could be a terrible collision and consequences. A bunch of stuff just came in, and somebody's got some very creative ASCII text artwork in their name. Okay. Excuse me. QJass says, I remember seeing something about studded tires from the OPP. Now, okay, there is something specific about studded tires, because there is a date range in which you can use studded tires. There's also a location or a range of locations that you have to be registered in. So to use studded tires, I'm so prepared. Studded tires are legal if you're registered in Northern Ontario between October 1st and April 30th, with means specifically the territorial districts of Algoma, Cochrane, Kenora, Manitoulin, Nipissing, Parry Sound, Rainy River, Sudbury, Temiskaming, and Thunder Bay, but only between those dates. So there is a charge for which I will not look up the cost of the charge, because we're not going there tonight. But it is an offense there, and it would be appropriate. Those studded tires, despite everyone saying they don't ruin the road, they do ruin roads, which is why they're not permitted in other places. And if you're visiting from out of town, you can drive for no more than 30 days in the province if you're visiting, which is interesting. What do we got here? Blitz says, on motorcycles stuck in 401 traffic, 30 outside, biker decides to take shoulder to prevent overheating. Blitz says, I say it's a ticket depending on the cop. Some understand. I'm a former motor cop. I've been riding since I was 16 years old. Do I understand the desire to do it? Yes. Is it legal? No. Shoulder riding, is dangerous. And listen, as a police officer, I've ridden the shoulder to get to collision scenes. I've also had a myriad of flat tires as a result, because there's so much debris and crap on the side of the road. That's where everything gets swept to. You end up putting yourself at high risk. If you crash there's nowhere for you to go except really getting hurt, depending on the scenario or the location, of course. But that's careless driving. It's careless driving. It's stunt driving, or it's let me try it again. Careless, stunt, or even criminal dangerous, depending on speeds and whatnot. The deal is, you're better off pulling over to prevent overheating, or getting off at the next exit and finding a place to chill out on a patio. If you're on a long stretch of traffic, you pick the wrong vehicle. But technically speaking, no, it's not. There's no justification for riding that way. Although I'm very interested to know what our former JP has to say about cases where lane splitting was brought before their court, because I speak from a perspective of laying charges, but at the end of the day, it's the independent trier of fact who's sitting on the bench who gets to decide what is what and what sticks and what doesn't. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, they are there. Oh, why can't other provinces be like Calgary with no front plate? That is a very good question. And I have a general answer for you. First of all, many provinces have gone by way of one plate and one plate only. And Ontario was on track to do that when our premier first came into office. But then they asked for advice from the Association of Chiefs of Police, who quite quickly said, no, we kind of like having a front plate because we want to have twice as many chances of identifying vehicles coming or going as opposed to just following. And it makes sense. We have things like Amber Alerts, and those alerts mean somebody needs help. And if we can identify the vehicle faster because we get it coming and going, the chances of finding someone and helping them in need go up. So the original reason for doing it was 50% reduction in costs, one plate produced instead of two. But the benefits outweigh the costs. What do we have here? I'm not sure what. Okay. Justin says, is DUI changing to 0.05? Ontario limit is 0.05, has been. In fact, I think all provinces in Canada are 0.05 for the legal limit for driving. So if you're under 0.05 blood alcohol content, you can legally drive as long as you're not impaired, which is, harder to explain than the quick answer here. But yeah, if you have 0.05 to 0.079, you're getting a warrant range suspension, which would be 3 days if it's the first time in 10 years that you've done it. 7 days, I think, the second time. Either way, you have to take a course. Like don't. The best answer is don't drink and don't do drugs if you're going to be operating a motor vehicle, because it's dumb and it gets people really, really, really hurt. And then we have Tom, who says he hopes it changes to 0.05. Well, 0.08 is the criminal level, but even criminal level gets reduced very often in court to careless driving. So I'm less impressed by that. Yeah. Ellie Price says, you can be a part-time cop, question mark. Well, yeah. But it's for traffic enforcement only, from what I understand. I don't know if it's still in effect, but I know it's happening. In fact, the RCMP do this for retired cops, where they get involved with escorts, not prostitutes, escorts being dignitary escorts, like IPPs, internationally protected persons. Someone comes into town, they need extra bodies to safely move the package, being a group of vehicles. They call on these group of retired officers, which I think is awesome. Listen, police officers, even when retired, have lots of value. I'm giving you an example of that by being here. I think this is valuable. The deal is that they should put them to work, make them useful. As long as they can pass the qualifications for shooting and whatnot, they can still contribute, make some extra cash. What is this? Liz says, I don't blame you for not liking the commute to work pre-retirement. I've driven to 9 Hannah before to pick up pamphlets for school. It was a nightmare. I went downtown today and it was over an hour and it wasn't in peak rush hour. It's a bit of a thing. Big Jeff Fresh remembers the good old CEO of No Days, because Big Jeff Fresh is part of the original clan of regular guests and participants, and I think you were even a moderator at one point, Big Jeff Fresh. Okay. What do we got here? Oh, Justin, the problem is many people can't handle 0.05. You're very right. Many people shouldn't drink alcohol at all because they do really bad stuff. Greg Marshall says he'll give me a reference. Very good. Okay, we'll talk. Hi says that's not dangerous driving. What's not dangerous driving? What do we have here? Do police chase people? Just scrolled up a bit. Hang on a second. I gotta scroll back. There's a whole bunch of new stuff that came in. Oh, Melody says that Escalade was in a hurry to get to the dealership before the 6.2 liter engine locks up. Is that a problem that they're having? Is that an issue that they generally have? Interesting. 6.2 liters because you need to burn as much gas as possible. Listen, I have no issues. I love a big engine, but 6.2 liters, really? Okay. What is this? That's not dangerous. Okay, there's some dialogue back and forth. Zachy says, "Wait, you're not a cop no more?" Not a cop no more. I left in August of 2024. It's been over 275 days since I wore a uniform, and I have very mixed emotions about it. I was just telling my friends at work today. I say at work. I was visiting them at work. I miss it. I miss the people. I miss everything about it. What I don't miss is the 3 hours I did on the road every day, and I certainly don't miss not being there for my family. And that's why I left. It was for my family. And if it wasn't for that, I'd still be there. Okay. Uh, Canadian Abe says, was it in TO the other day? The amount of cars using the HOV lane with only one person's in vehicle was crazy. Well, they were in TO the other day. There's a lot of violators, absolutely. And the reason that there are so many violators is that it catches on. People don't get caught when they do it once, they do it twice. Somebody sees someone doing it, says, heck, I can do that too. They're not getting caught. I'm going to jump in. And then suddenly everyone's breaking the law. And then they question the motivation of those in law enforcement who actually give them a ticket and tell them they're not allowed to do something. They go, but I've been doing it. How come you didn't tell me the first time I broke the law? Why'd you wait till the fifth time? That's not fair. So people have some very strange things. You'd think they were all kindergarten kids based on some of the behavior, but whatever. Okay, Ellie, I don't know what we're talking about here. Anyway. This is obviously an argument amongst two other people. Colin says, "Thank you for your service. Watch this before joining and still do to this day." Colin, that's so awesome. So where are you working? Good to hear. I'm glad there's a large number of people that have been influenced by our chats. Some who want to be traffic officers because of the show. Some who have become police officers because of the show. You may have already been interested in policing, but I love hearing the stories. Maybe you got to come on the podcast and talk about your experiences since becoming a police officer. And so many coppers have come in and said they watch the show both while I was a police officer and since, saying that this is their update opportunity to keep up to date with the HTA, which is awesome. I'm glad that I can contribute. Okay. Melody's even telling Justin to hold on. What are we talking about? I've obviously missed their question, but I don't think I'm going back to it. Here we go. Ruan says, I noticed a lot of trucks on the 401 blocking all 3 lanes of traffic. Is the OPP doing anything about it? Are they doing anything about it? I do not know. I'm not there, thus I can't comment. But I will say that they're not. Big rigs aren't supposed to be in lane 1. In fact, if you really look into it, they're not supposed to be in lane 1 or 2. They can. It's 1 is the centermost lane, not including the HOV, and then you count out from the center. So no, they shouldn't be in lane 1 or 2. But sometimes they're passing and they jump in temporarily. But I see them in all areas, even the ones they're not supposed to. And it's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess. Yeah. Tinsdale, what's going on? Good to see you. Tinsdale says, I'm a breath tech in my service, and I have not seen a memo come across my desk about it. I think I would have heard about it too, but I appreciate you jumping in, Tinsdale. Okay, water good. What do we got here? Getting a part 3 and getting off on 2 charges and a reduced, is that normal? What are we talking about? Part 3 could be anything. Part 3 is a 104 and it's for more serious charges, and it's possible to have 2 of them withdrawn and have a reduced for the third. It could be part of a discussion made with the prosecution, and if it's accepted by the justice of the peace, that could absolutely happen. It all depends on the case. It depends on the case load. So many things go into consideration. Yeah, anything could happen. What do we got here? Checking the time. Ooh, okay. Tom says, it was crazy when I went to California and the motorcycles were able to lane split. Scared me. See, they're used to it. And even though it's legal in California, and it's only legal in 4 other states in the USA, Hawaii being one of them, and I don't recall what the others. It's in California in particular. If you go to the California Highway Patrol website, it says, yeah, it's legal, but be careful because it's dangerous. why people are so hell bent on doing things that are scary, dangerous, or high risk. I don't know. I will say I appreciate the fact that when it is bumper to bumper or stop traffic, it is nice to be able to get to where you're going. And it makes motorcycling a whole lot more useful than sitting in bumper to bumper traffic and overheating. Now, I could see a situation where if the speed differential, like if you were to go no more than 15 kilometers an hour and more than the traffic that is stopped. So they're doing 0, you're doing 15, they're doing 5, you're doing 20, and there was a cap. Then I could see making it legal, but it's not legal right now. And that's the thing. And I can't throw shade at California drivers. I don't have enough experience driving there. I've only been there a few times. My brother lives there. But I will say that Ontario drivers, not good, based on the fact that, like 80% of them are on their cell phones while they're driving. As a motorcycle rider, that is terrifying to know. Now, 30 years ago, maybe it would have been safer. It ain't safe no more. That's for certain. Okay. Colin says, neither have I received any memo, but it sounds like it's coming. Really? Interesting. Okay. Well, that is something that we definitely need to chat about and research and keep track of. Hang on a second. I want to make sure I'm following all the people that need here. Okay, Tinsdale. I don't know how I wasn't following you because I know we've spoken before. Greg, I know I'm following Greg. And I just want to make sure I'm following Colin. All my police peeps. Okay. Stand by 1 second. Just looking for a comment here so I can find Colin. Holy moly, there's a lot of. Don't know why I can't find you. Okay. Well, if you comment again, I will find you. Oh, there we are. I found you. I found you and then it updated. Oh, there we are. Boom. All right. Follow. Now, technically, I'm following you from the Ask a Traffic Cop account. I'll follow you from the other account later. All right. Let's get back to this. Matt says, hello, sir. Hello, Matt. What do we have here? The Watcher in Canada says, license plate covered in a motorcycle, nobody does anything. This is one of the biggest pet peeves, and I'd love to see laws change to accommodate more harsher penalties for those who cover intentionally obscure plates, whether it be motorcycle or otherwise. But I would love to be able to find tucked plates or no plate visible on a private property situation, and I'd like to empower police to take that vehicle and impound it, because what's happening is these are the drivers who have no license, no insurance. They could be stolen vehicles. They definitely could be stolen plates. I would love to give police power to act in those because they will save lives. Taking those vehicles away and ensuring that they are up to code would, I think, do wonders. Oh, Greg Marshall says it's legal in France to lane split at low speed, which is really important to take that caveat, to take that little piece of information saying, because it's not just like people always talk about the Autobahn, everything's Autobahn. We need an Autobahn. No. Baby Mike says, you ain't a cop no more. Aw. I don't know if that's trying to show compassion because I left the job, or if they're making fun of me. I can't decide. I also don't care. No, I mean, I appreciate it if you're saying that it's, that's sad that I left, because it's tough to be away from friends. You get into a routine. Okay. Kennedy, thanks for the follow. Lori, thanks for the follow. Tom says, thank you, former Officer Shapiro. Have a great night. Thank you for your service. Thank you for the thank you. Okay. Mike McDonald says, a friend of mine found out that in your what? A friend of mine found out that in your windshield doesn't count as being on the front of you. Yes, we're talking license plates now. Yes, good for your friend for getting that education. Sadly, they probably spent $110 on that. Front of the vehicle means a conspicuous place at the front of the vehicle, not behind 50, like 40 to 60% into your vehicle behind a obscured window with glare and also, yeah, no. Also, I like to call it the Ontario Shuriken, Shuriken being a throwing star. They do wonders to people when they get impaled on them and hurt. It's not good. It's not good. Okay. And yes, Tinsdale says, true. It's technically the middle of the car. Absolutely. Love it. Uh, let's talk about cyclists and their unsafe riding. This is from Zaga. I have a video that I have not placed. I have one more video. It's actually a collision video. It isn't my dash cam, even though it's my buddy's dash cam. He witnessed a collision. This I think you'll enjoy. But I will share that in a minute. And I have a video of cyclists who decided to cut me off and then cut me off again, like 20 of them. I really, really don't like those cyclists, and I don't want to see them again. Frankly, I was yelling in my car at them a lot. Matt says, "Can you speak on color vision standards as a police officer in RCMP?" My understanding, the wording is normal color acuity, which means you must be able to identify and differentiate between green and red. If I'm not mistaken, I am not someone who can speak to that formally, but that's my understanding. And you have to have binocular vision of 20/40 uncorrected, because if you were to have your glasses, in a fight, you lose your glasses, you still have to be able to see. Tally wants to know speed cameras. What's the leeway? The leeway is don't speed. Generally speaking, I think I can't even tell you with certainty, but it's about 10%. But don't speed, and then you won't have to worry about it. Tom says I had a ticket for 9 over for one of my employees. Ugh, $60, but and that's a $30 ticket that's doubled because it's a community safety zone. Hi says you need 20/40 and 20/20 corrected and normal color vision for Toronto. Thank you very much. Hi. And if Farnsworth D15 test, is that where you touch the fly, the depth perception? Is that what that is? Touch the fly. What are your thoughts about Jeeps having no doors and roof? If they're designed not to require them and they are safety like that, I have no issue with it. I had a Jeep. I had no doors and no roof, and I love it. Is it dangerous? Potentially. The plastic roof has a warning. Like, it's not a protection. It's just to keep your stuff inside. What provinces where are you at? Bear wants to know. I'm in Ontario. Tom says wear your seatbelt and you're safe. Yes, in the Jeep, I would say that's a pretty good. You can still lose a limb as it rolls over. You can get crushed. And Tom says, second that, although I don't see it a lot. You don't see the seatbelt or the doors off. I like that the Broncos even have the doors off option. What do you hear? Somebody doesn't like someone likes the current well, I guess he's the prime minister. I don't know how that has anything to do with the discussion about traffic, but I'm glad that you've had a chance to get that off your chest. Tom says, I did it once in my brother's Jeep and I didn't like it, but there was more about the wind. Yeah, listen, I rode motorcycle for years and years, and the wind wasn't an issue, although it can affect your hearing. Joshua Charlin says, have you ever been charged with DUI? I don't drink, but no, I've never been charged with it. Even after a couple of drinks, I don't drive because I'm smart enough to make plans in advance. What do we have here? Thoughts on red light cameras. I received a $340 ticket. Prosecutor said I must have went past the line. Okay. So the red light camera ticket takes a picture as you pass the line into the intersection before it was green or after it was red. It tells you by milliseconds how my father got one of these tickets. That's not it. I thought I had it on my desk. My father got a ticket. I can't find it. And it tells you like to the millisecond how many seconds after it changed. So yeah, you get a ticket and it's doubled fine because you crossed the line before it was green or before you were allowed to or after you weren't allowed to. Boy, the order of operations here just stinking. Maverick, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And cameraman, how you doing? How long is the process to become a police officer in Ontario? The process, that's a very good question. In terms of the hiring process, it can be different. You can get the right timing where they need people and they rush people through the process. And it could be very quick. Other people could be 6 months to a year. The actual process, once you're hired, however, it's about 6 months. Or you get hired, you go to pre and post Elmer, or you go to Elmer itself. Let's see here. Sonny says, hey, Sean, what's the rules on underglow? Like, where on my car is it allowed and what colors are and aren't? There's no specific law governing underglow. There are discussions or laws that govern what color can project forward, backwards, and outward. And this is where the discussion gets muddy. If you have bulbs visible, I would argue that you're projecting light in all directions. If the bulbs aren't visible and the only light that is seen is reflected off the ground, I would say that is not projected light, but reflected light. So if you are tucking those bulbs high up into the undercarriage of your vehicle and you are glowing on the ground, I would say you are legal. And if you are not, I would say you are illegal. Now, in terms of other officers, they might disagree. Sergeant Murray Campbell and I often disagreed on this. He would say if I saw the color from the front, it was projecting and thus illegal. Again, I say reflected versus projected, and we have a difference of opinion. Our justice of the peace, if they are still here, could weigh in on that. But you cannot project to the front of the vehicle anything other than white or amber, to the back anything other than red or amber, and you can't have colors like green, which is a protected color for volunteer fire. You cannot project red or blue. You cannot project these are all restricted colors. So you're very limited. And at the end of the day, why are you doing it on the road? In a car show environment where you're off road in a private parking lot, fill your boots. If you're going to be driving on the road, just turn it off. That would be the best thing to do. The question about can motorcycles ride the 407 for free in the new stretch where everyone can, yes, but no, you can register a motorcycle for use. Mine has the license plate registered as a vehicle that cannot have a what's it called? Transformers, more than what's it called? Transponder. So because it couldn't physically have a transponder that would work, they registered the plate, and now if I go through, it just goes to my account. But no, they're not free to ride. But good question though. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. What is this? I was with my dad on his last day of work as a TPS officer when HU called him back to be a TPS chaplain. He does this part-time. Yes, he was a cop when he studied and became an ordained minister. And I know who your dad is now. That is awesome. That is absolutely awesome. I saw the article about him, if I'm talking about the same guy who did that and became a minister and is now a chaplain. That is so cool. Awesome. Good evening. This is from Michael. Good evening. Playing Cities Skyline city building game. First one from 2015. CS2 the other year apparently sucked. I just bought a game on Steam, first time ever, and it's not really a game. It is a simulator. I am trying to learn how to fly a manual drone. So anyone who knows about drones, you basically turn them on and they fly almost autonomously, up, down, forward, back, side. It's so easy to do. But what if you didn't have a fancy computer doing all the work for you? What if you truly had to be responsible for all aspects of flying that drone? It's a different story, and it's hard as hell, at least it is for me. And I'm learning with a simulator because I don't want to crash my drones while learning. So there's that. And that's the only thing I've done. So enjoy your game of City Skylines, Michael. Epic Life Enthusiast says, good evening, Sean. Hope you were enjoying your evening and retirement. I am. Thank you so much for asking. I love the new look of the Ask a Traffic Cop. I really like it. What does everyone think of the whole neon business? And then, of course, we have dash cam court. I like this. These are cool things. I'm having fun with it. The other one was kind of swanky. It was like a bar, but it made me think of alcohol and didn't jive with my vibe. So I changed it. Maybe we change it again. We'll see. Maybe we'll rotate. What is this? For the red light cameras and speed cameras installed, after dealing with the people that deal with disputes, I am not satisfied. Is there a higher up court we can go for the tickets? What do you mean? Let me reread that. After dealing with the people that deal with disputes, I'm not satisfied. So you want them to have more to give more tickets, harsher penalties? What is it that you're looking for in particular? I'd like to know. And they followed up. They said here in California, a new vape juice came out for vape where the vape smells as weed, but it's not weed. Would police offer a ticket? Why would anyone want to smell weed? First of all, I think it's one of the most violent, disgusting smells ever. Literally, I confuse it with skunk, which is pretty gross. And people are anyway. I also don't like the cheesecake apple spice that people are spewing. I think all these things are gross. But if we smelled marijuana, we'd investigate, I should say, and then you'd end up doing a sobriety test roadside, and then you'd either be impaired or not impaired by drug. Let's see. Oh, this is an interesting statement. Dawson 2BB says, I was told by a cop that if you're not driving like an idiot, cops won't pull you over for window tint most of the time. Well, that's pretty accurate because generally speaking, they're focused on driving behavior. And if your driving behavior is abysmal, then looking at you and, hey, I can't see the driver now that I'm trying to investigate. Now you end up getting an extra prize for, spending your time. I did not write a lot of tint tickets, but I did write tint tickets when they were so bad that I could not ignore them. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, we're just scrolling through. Trying to catch up here. What do we have here? Vladdy wants to know if I retired or quit. I left very early. Retirement usually suggests that you are over 50. I left a week before I turned 50. So legally, it wasn't a retirement. It was a resignation because you can't retire until you're 50. So yeah, it was not exactly retirement, but it was retiring from policing. And I'm still working. I'm just not working as a police officer. What is this? Okay. Thoughts on MTO officers? I think they do a wonderful service for keeping our truckers in line and making sure that the violators, like when a truck is out of service or should be out of service, there are so many incredibly gross violations that go unchecked because the average person isn't qualified like they are. We have in Toronto Police and a number of police services have CVSA inspectors that are police officers who got qualified to be CVSA like MTO officers, and they do great work and they're working to keep people safe. Patrick says, are you from Nova Scotia? You sound like an East Coaster. Really? I've never had anybody tell me that. But no, I did not. I'm not from Nova Scotia. I am very much from Toronto, born and raised. Starts with Jay says, did you enjoy your job? Loved my job. Loved every second of it. Didn't like getting hit by a car when I was on a motorcycle duty. Did adapt well and become a social media guy, which is how I left as a media relations officer. But I loved being a cop. It was a great gig. And I get to still do stuff involving the police on a regular basis and help you guys out by doing the Ask a Traffic Cop thing. I really enjoy it. What is this? It's the dotty numbers and letters. I don't know what we're talking about here. Can you get a ticket for eating while driving? In some provinces, you can. And technically speaking, even in Ontario, while there's no eat while driving law, careless driving is what you're doing when you are driving whilst eating if it's negatively impacting your ability to safely operate your motor vehicle. And I've said those words in those combination a lot over the years. What's your take on passing on the right of the driver is slow on the left and won't move over? Passing on the right is not illegal in a multi-lane situation. It is that law is specifically looking at people who pass on the right being the shoulder, paved or unpaved is the stipulation. Everett Payne says, thoughts on Cam Woolley? I know Cam Woolley. Cam Woolley's a very nice guy. He retired as a police sergeant. He became a correspondent or reporter for CP24. He worked there for 13 years before retiring, and now he does work as the safety ambassador for Diamond and Diamond Law, and Diamond is also one of the sponsors of Ask a Traffic Cop and Better Traffic, who helped me pay for the show. I hang out with Cam on a somewhat regular basis. So my thoughts are, he's a very nice guy. Maverick says hi. Scotty Dodal says, is it Dowdall or Dodal? I don't know. But he says, hi, Sean. Melody says, I intend to ask the MTO about their opinion on Underglow. I appreciate that. I have learned so much from MTO officers because the average officer has so much, the average police officer has so much information, even the traffic officers, so much information that we have to ingest in addition to traffic. There's just not enough room. But then you've got MTO officers who have actually had direct line of writing sections. I really appreciate them. I learned about maximum and minimum heights from the center of the headlights to the ground. Bet you didn't know about that, or maybe you did, Melody, because you know lots of stuff. But there's maximums and minimums, and I met the guy who wrote that section during a blitz that we were involved in. It was so cool. Scotty wants to know if we can reflect red, reflect off the road, We're talking underglow. We're talking in what direction? Are we talking about? Yeah, user says no, but I don't know what the rest of the question is. Matt says, love to be a police officer, but have no color deficiency, but have color deficiency. It's minor, but there anything I can do. Talk to it. So you can, if it's very minor, it's possible you could get over. Like if you fail the test, it's possible you could challenge it from another doctor. But at the end of the day, become a special constable. I don't believe there's a requirement for special constables. Maybe there is. It used to be court officers didn't have a color acuity issue. Check with them. QJS says manual operating a drone is not easy, and best of luck. Thank you. Baljit says, can I make a complaint here? I don't know who you make a complaint to because there's no police officers here. You can complain about anything you want, but ideally, if you want to complain about the police, you should go to the police or to a supervisor and do that. And there's also all sorts of different bodies now that you can complain to, depending on what it is. And thank you, QJS, who says depends on what it is. Okay. And QJS, I have some friends with the MTO. I should definitely have some friends come in on the show. All right, we've caught up on all the questions. It is 1 hour and 15 minutes and 58 seconds that I've been doing this, so I should wrap it up. And I want to just make sure. Oh no, there's some other questions here on the other platform. Michael says I drove a rubbish rig and didn't bother me, but cannabis does. Oh, really? So he says rubbish rig. He means garbage truck. I'm assuming the smell didn't bother him, but the smell of weed does. I can't stand the smell of weed. Oh, interesting. Epic Life Enthusiast says this is why I love living near the airport with no fly zone. You mean for drones? They follow up and said, regarding the previous question, the person that makes the final decision on the tickets and I am not satisfied, is there a way to go to a provincial court to dispute the ticket? Oh, so you had a defense and they didn't agree with it, and I don't know. I don't know what the next. So you could, once the justice of the peace gives a decision, I think there must be a way of challenging it again, but I don't know what that process is. Dawson wants to know if my phone has maps on it and is close to my controls for my radio. Can a cop pull me over for being on my phone when I was changing the temperature and I bring it to court? How can I beat the ticket? So the only screen that you can have on your phone while you're in operation is the lock screen, the phone screen, and although it is arguable, the mode of the GPS can be visible. Actually, one police officer, my former partner, says no. We interpret the law differently, but he may be right. I might be right. The general consensus is you can have GPS on, but you cannot touch the phone when it's in GPS. I would relocate your phone if it's close to you because it looks like you mounted it for touching. And if you were touching here versus there, you are going to have a hard time, I think, describing that in court. But a justice of the peace might take your information and accept it, though they may not. Depends on what the argument or information from the police officer. If the evidence in chief from the police officer is that you were touching the wrong thing and they saw it and it was clearly discernible between the two things you were touching and they saw both, you're going to be sunk. Matt wants to know what a special constable is. Essentially, it is a police employee that has expanded powers of police during their working hours. They do prisoner transportation, courthouse security. They assist with other things, but they're not armed they may become armed in the future, but at the moment they're not armed with firearms. And that's the thing. Greg Marshall says you can appeal the decision if you don't agree with the decision. So Epic Life Enthusiast, there is an appeals process. I'm not aware of what it is. 10-6, bottom of the ninth. Thanks to Greg for the update. What do we got here? Could I or other drivers get a ticket if we use our phone to take pictures or video of other people using their phone at red lights or intersections? Yeah, because you're using your phone. Absolutely, you could. If you had a dedicated camera, it would not be an offense. But if you're holding your cell phone, that is using your cell phone, even if it's being used as a phone or video. So don't do that or get a passenger to do it. Is it illegal to change lanes in an intersection? That's from Destiny. Technically, no, but it's dangerous and could lead to collision, at which point you'd be liable and responsible for the lane change mid intersection. And even if you're not entirely liable, you might be partially liable because, as I always describe this, every intersection is like the stage, and you have different actors with different roles, and the person here is going to do this and you're going to do that. Well, when you change in the middle and you do something unexpected, everyone's got to be able to pivot. Not every actor is good, uh, so that you might end up in a crash, and at very least be partially responsible. Matt says, "Oh, they like the information about the special constable. Good luck to you, my friend." Um, Destiny says, "Asking to better educate some people." Gotcha. Uh, Dabkaba says, "Are you Canadian? If so, what province?" Ontario, Canada. That is where I am. That is where I is. And I have one last video, and then we're going to wrap things up. This might spark a whole bunch of. Maybe I should leave the video for tomorrow morning. Because tomorrow morning I do this again at 10 a.m. Yeah, let's leave it for tomorrow morning because otherwise I'm going to be here for another hour. Okay. The story is that we are currently on, the show is currently on summer hours, meaning instead of doing Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. and Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 p.m., I am simply doing 9 p.m. on Tuesdays and 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. Mostly the Wednesdays is because I go live with Jerry Ager on News Talk 1010 very often. In fact, I'll message them to see if they want to go tomorrow. But I didn't message them today, so it might be next week. In any case, I will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. to answer the AM people's questions, and then it'll be the next week. And the summer is just a crazy, crazy busy time for me between camp stuff for my kids and getting outside to enjoy the open doors or the outside and the good weather and get different kinds of content. I want to be out there recording, so rather than just being in the studio. So that's my whole thing. The plan is to go back to a more frequent schedule come the school coming back into effect after the summer break. We'll see what happens. All right, for everyone who's watching, thank you so much. If you're not already following me, please do, because more followers is good. I like it. It's really just wherever you are. Also, please share it. Let other people know that the channel exists. It really does help bring more awareness to traffic safety, and that's what it's all about. Um, Greg Marshall throwing a dad joke this way, just because. And then we got here, why can't Ewoks be left outside? Well, there's no punchline yet. Where's the punchline there, Greg? Raphael wants to know, why did I retire from being a police officer? Family reasons. I need the Ewoks punchline. All right, we're waiting on Greg. Oh, I hope it didn't get flagged or anything. Like, we need the punchline. We're all waiting on it. This is getting very awkward. Raphael says, thanks. You're very welcome. Let's see here. Oh, wait. I don't see the punchline. I just see the I just see the question. Why can't Ewoks be left outside? I think if it's like grayed out, it got filtered. So you see it, but I don't see it. Can I Google it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I got it. Why can't Ewoks be left outside? Because they're an indoor animal. Endor, the planet of Endor, where Ewoks are from. I got it. That's an awesome joke. Thank you. Let's see here. Epic Life Enthusiast says, have a great evening, or have a good evening, Sean. Have a good evening to you too. Thanks for coming out. We'll see you tomorrow. If you're interested in joining 10 a.m. on every platform we're on tonight, we'll be back tomorrow. So have a great night, and we will see you in the morning after a few hours sleep. Take care. Drive safe, drive sober, park legally, and we'll see you soon. Have a great night.